So this is mislabeled. It should say 7.2.1. We have two pieces we'll talk about today. Finding the equation. And we've already sort of talked about this previously. And then we'll also be talking about a new form of exponents that we've not run into yet, fractional exponents, and I'll kind of give you the key to that. So why don't we start off up at the top of the page. If you don't have a calculator, you're going to need to grab one. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes here, and I would like you to fill in the blanks there. Let's round off to 2 decimal places. We are just practicing putting radicals into our calculator. Okay. So take a couple minutes here, get those things into your calculator, and let's get some answers. We'll come back together in about 2 minutes. All right, let's check answers here. Let me know if you have any questions on any of these, or if you think maybe I typed it in wrong. I do make mistakes as well. Are we in agreement? You guys getting the same numbers? Are you seeing any mistakes? Yes. Cube root of 42. Yeah, it doesn't seem quite right to me either, does it? Let me check that. So cube root 42. Nope, that's what I'm getting. 3.47, but the next number after that 7 is a higher number, so we'd bump it up to 48. Oh. The other way I could check it is I could do 3.48 to the 3rd power. I should get something really close to 42. Yep. And it's not quite because we did round. Good to check it, though. Thank you for asking about that one. Any others you guys would like to check over? All right. So this part of our lesson today is really just going to be a review of some stuff that we've seen already, but it's pretty important, so we want to make sure we circle back and hit it again. So let's first start off with something way back in chapter 2. And I know it's coming from chapter 2 because they said they want the equation of a line in this format, and this makes me think of chapter 2. That equation is the equation of a linear function. And they want us to write the equation of a line that has a slope of 3 and passes through the point 5, 19. When they say the slope is 3, are they giving us any of the things that we need in our equation? Are they giving us m or are they giving us b when they tell us the slope is 3? Which one are they telling us? They're telling us that m is 3. That's nice. All we need to do is figure out what b is. Now this 5 and this 19, these are x and y coordinates. B is the y-intercept. Is 19 the y-intercept? Is 19 the y-intercept? It is a y value, but is it the y-intercept? No, it's not. What would this 5 have to be in order for that to be our y-intercept? If this is a 0, then this would be the y-intercept. The y-intercept always has an x of 0. So the 19 is not the y-intercept, but it is a y value. So we're still missing b, but we've got m. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to rewrite this equation, but we're going to put some numbers in place of the y and the m and the x. We don't know what b is yet. So let me set this up. So y equals mx plus b. There's my equation. But I'm going to stick some numbers in there. They gave us numbers for m and for y and for x. So let's put m is 3. That goes here. X is 5. That goes here. Y is 19. That goes here. And now we got an equation that we can use to solve for b, and now we're home free. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's start by simplifying this thing. These parentheses aren't doing anything. These parentheses are telling us to multiply the 3 and the 5. We can take care of that. That's 15. And then we just have this plus b. And give me a step of algebra to find that b value. Let's get rid of that 15. It's a positive 15, so let's go minus 15 on both sides. And 19 minus 15 is 4. All right. So now we know what b is. But we know the y-intercept would be 4. And now we can write an equation. We have everything we need to write an equation. You just need to know values of m and b. So let's write it. Y equals m is 3, x plus, and then b is 4. So y equals 3x plus 4 will be our final equation here. In order to get that equation, we needed that value for m, and we needed that value for b. All right, so we're going to do the same thing here with an exponential equation. Any questions about what we did with the linear first? Do you guys remember doing a problem like this? This was last week, towards the beginning of the week. So we're going to do kind of the same thing, except this time it's an exponential equation, so it's in a different format. Instead of m and b, we need a and b. And they gave us this nice graph here. And they gave us some numbers on the graph. Can we get a or b from some of those numbers on the graph? Which one can we see on the graph nice and easily? The 7 is that a or is that b? That's a. So we know that a is 7. Three and 56, neither of those are b, but we can use them to find b the same way that we just did. So let's label them x and y. And then let's rewrite this equation and solve for b. So what do we know? We got y equals, I'm leaving y out, I'm leaving a out because I know what those things are. And I've got b in here, and I'm going to leave x out also. Let's stick some numbers in here. So y was 56, a was 7, and x was 3. We've got 56 equals 7 times b to the 3rd power. The only letter left in that, the only variable left in that equation is the one we need to finish writing the equation. So let's solve. Let's get b by itself. These parentheses aren't doing anything here, so I'll take those out. Neither of these. I need to get b by itself. I'd say let's get rid of that 7 next. Could divide on both sides to get rid of 7. What's 56 divided by 7? That's 8. I thought that was familiar. 8 equals b to the 3rd power. And then we've talked about this a few times so far. What cancels a power? What makes a power go away? A radical or a root. Roots and powers cancel each other out. If I've got a 3rd power, I can cancel it with a 3rd root. So we're going to take a 3rd root on both sides. And we just practiced how to do that in our calculators a moment ago. So take a 3rd root of 8, unless you happen to know what it is. Cube root of 8 has come up a lot in our assignments. Cube root of 8 is 2. And these cancel over here, so we just get b. So b is 2. B is 2. If we've got a and we've got b, then we can write our final equation. I'm going to put it out here where I got some space. Y equals a times b to the x power. A was 7. We just figured out that b was 2 to the x power. We could put parentheses around that 2 if we want. If it's not a fraction, you don't have to. I'll leave them off today. All right. Any questions so far? Questions? I'm going to ask you guys to do the next one on your own, number 81. I would like you to use the same method that we just used to find an equation for this. Okay, now they didn't tell us this, but it does say it's exponential and has an asymptote at y equals 0. What they're telling us there is that it is going to be an equation in the format y equals a times b to the x power. So we know it's going to be in the same format that we just dealt with. They gave you a couple of clues. Now, they did not give us a graph this time around, but if you wanted to, you could kind of sketch a graph, and that may help you see what kind of clue they're giving you here. Let me give you a couple of minutes to work through that. We'll come back together and check answers here in a minute. Before I start going through the steps, does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? Again, this is going to be much more useful to you if you actually do the problem. If you're just copying down my work, that's not learning, guys. All right, I got a couple questions for you. What is A in this problem? Number 81, what's A? A is really easy to spot in this one, too. A is 5, because we know that this is a y-intercept. And we know that for exponential functions, a is always the y-intercept. So we know that a is 5. By the way, how did we know this was a y-intercept? Because of that 0. Okay, the 0 for x makes it the y-intercept. So we got a value for a, we got an x, and we got a y. So we're going to stick those values into our equation. So I'm just going to write it right underneath here. Y was 320. Equals a was 5. I don't know what b is yet, but I know that x is 3. And I've got a nice equation here now that I can solve for b. We'll go through some algebra steps and get b by itself. Let's start by dividing by 5 on both sides. 320 divided by 5 is 64. Thank you. 64 equals b to the 3rd power. And then we're going to need to take a cube root on both sides to get that by itself, to cancel that power of 3. Root of 3, or 3rd root, cancels a power of 3. Those will cancel over here, so we've got just b. And the 3rd root of 64, if we're not sure, our calculator will tell us is 4. So our final equation for this, y equals a was 5 times b, which is 4 to the x power. How many of you were able to get that equation, y equals 5 times 4 to the x? Able to get there on our own? Okay, if not, do we have any questions? I'm going to let you work on the assignment. Yes, question. What is a what now? Asymptote? So the asymptote in our packet, we haven't talked about this much, but if you flip to the very back page of the packets, the study guide piece, the asymptote is that line that the graph gets really, really close to but never quite touches. So if I've got it up here on my screen if you want to look. Remember how we said that this graph was going to get super, super close to 0 but never quite get there? So that's called an asymptote. It's a line that sort of that the graph approaches but never quite touches. So when they tell us that the asymptote is y equals 0, basically they're giving us, it's just another hint that this is going to be our equation. Yep. Thanks for that question. I appreciate that. Any other questions? We're going to go over the bottom. You talking the bottom of the lesson? We're going to go over that in a couple of minutes. I want to give you guys a chance to work through some of the assignment problems. Guys, can I get your attention, please? Can you look up here for just a moment? I really, really want you to get started on number 87 on the assignment because it's very much the same thing, okay? Also, can I get you to make some changes? Flip your assignment over on the back. We're going to change number 96. We have not gone over how to do these yet, so I need you to make a couple changes for me, okay? You guys with me? Please make these changes right now. In part A, can you change 1 comma 7.5 to 0 comma 7.5? Change that 1 to a 0. Change this 3 to a 2. And in part B, change this -1 to a 0 and this 3 to a 4. We don't quite have the tools to handle it like it is, so we'll just make a quick modification, and now you should be able to do. So these two are also very similar to the problems that we were just practicing. I recommend right now in your assignment that you tackle 87 and then move on from there, and then you'll later on in the assignment you'll hit those and you'll practice them again. I do not recommend practicing all 4 of those problems all at once. You want to spread them out. That's going to help you learn better. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple, say about 5-10 minutes, and we're going to pull you back together and go over the second part of today's lesson.